From the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, it's time for Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The following segment is a weekly video blog, and the opinions of the forecaster do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff of Eastern PA Weather Authority LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrus with Weather Weeklies.
And good Sunday morning to another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, October 23rd. This is the second straight week we have it now, and it's going to go through the entire duration of the winter. Still no storms on the horizon, but I do think that's going to change start getting into the second half of November. We'll get into that in a little bit. We're going to start off with the long-range chart. I do want to preface this video and say I'm a little under the weather with my throat and coughing, so hopefully I can get through this video just fine. I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit so I don't have to put too much strain on my vocal cords here today, but I am struggling with that, so just going to give you a little bit of a forewarning. We do have slightly below normal temperatures that are expected through this Thursday, and then I think after that point we're going to see a turnaround to slightly above normal temperatures, and maybe even above normal completely, not just slightly, as we get past from the 3rd on through the 7th as another ridge tries to build in. But this is not going to be an intense ridge. We're talking about temperatures that are in the 60s here, and at this time between the 3rd and the 7th, normals are not in the 60s. Okay, so normal highs are in the 50s at this point, so you're in the 60s. It's not going to be back in the 80s or mid 80s like it was earlier this week, so don't get the wrong idea with that. A couple areas of precipitation this week. One that we just got done dealing with. Of course, this was a long range chart that was taken right from our long range update on Friday, the public long range, so some of this is going to be repetitive, and this one here is that system that moved through Friday and again yesterday. But here is another one that's coming in. Looks like Thursday night, overnight, Thursday night into Friday morning, we have a chance for some showers. We're not really sure about the heavier rain yet. We'll have to wait and see exactly how that works out and how fast that front's moving, but there is that potential. I do think for the rest of this month of October, we will average, despite being below normal for a couple days this week, and of course below normal yesterday by far, we will average the month +2 to +4 in most areas above normal, and that is precipitation is going to be below normal for most, except for those areas in central PA that got hit hard, and those areas in the far southeastern areas that got hit with the remnants of Hurricane Matthew along that front a little over a week ago. So that is for how the month is going to finish, though, below normal. And then we get November. The whole month as a whole is going to be a +1 to +3. We're going to be above normal at the beginning. It's going to average slightly above normal for the month, but we're expecting warmer anomalies in the first half, colder in the second half. And there's a lot of support, not just with some climate models that go out that far, but also with our analogs, our running analogs. You're going to hear that word analog a lot in this video, but we can't get into specifics of analogs like we're discussing in the EPAWA Premium Forum, but we'll at least touch on some of them today as we get into the course of this video. But we do expect, because of those analogs and the long-range climate models, that we will be colder in the second half of November, and that will increase the chances for some early snow. Maybe as early as November. We'll have to wait and see. November's hold precipitation near normal and no threats in the tropics. I think we're pretty much done with the tropics in this area. We'll keep this on here for now, but I might start taking this off if I really don't see anything coming to fruition. And we're just about to end hurricane season in the Atlantic anyway, so that'll be going away very shortly. I want to start off with sea surface temperatures, and these are the current sea surface temperatures. You can see the blues and even the greens here indicating a La Nina. And this is a western-based La Nina right now. Not some people have said this is a Modoki or this is a west-based La Nina, which is important in the grand scheme. We also have a positive PDO. Now, it started to erode a little bit, and it has been declining slowly over the last couple of months. But this is a process that takes place and usually follows La Nina by, and it's about 4 months behind. So I think we start with the PDO positive for the winter months, and then we might toward the end of winter head toward neutral, or maybe we start going to negative, but we'll see. Also have the AMO is something we're going to be paying attention to, and this is the sea surface temperature configuration up in this area right here. Now this is important for you see the cold pool right here in the northern Atlantic here. We also have this warmth surrounding it. That's very important. You have with the warm anomalies over Greenland here. Because we are going to, if we can keep that, we can possibly set up some blocking this winter. And the setup right now is very favorable for that. Doesn't mean it's going to maintain. It looked favorable last year and then we saw those anomalies escape Greenland. If as long as it maintains, and this actually looks more favorable than last year did, at least the setup and configuration here. But if that maintains, we could have some blocking this winter, which will help with some bigger storm potential. Okay, and this is the sea surface temperature change in the last 7 days. This is from Tropical Tidbits. They give you an opportunity to see how what areas of the ocean went above normal and below normal. Again, the key areas here, La Nina, continue to decrease in these areas here, especially in the far eastern areas that had that brief warming spell last week. Will now go way down this week. Also cooling up here in the North Atlantic, but it is gradual. It's nothing over the top. So since they were so high above normal as far as the anomalies were concerned, a slight drop-off is not going to kill anything here. And same thing up here with the PDO. Still remaining positive. Still warm in the areas you want it to be here in the Gulf of Alaska. Because if you can get that going here and have a ridge build out in this area here, you can have a negative EPO and a big ridge out west and a trough in the east in the core of wintertime. That's down the road, of course, but that is what drove the winter of 2013-2014 because of this. So this is a very important player, and we'll be watching this going forward in the winter. The climate model projection, this is CFS V2. Now, we did have the mid-October plume of models come out this week, and some of them are indicating that it's going to be into a weak La Nina. Others are saying no, but we're clearly seeing it is heading toward a weak La Nina. CFS V2 has been actually pretty correct. And it's also been picking up, when you see the little spikes here, it's been picking up on these spikes. When it started to drop and then go back up again and down, see the little spikes? We just had a temporary spike here last week. It picked up on that correctly, and now we're seeing the decline again. It says that decline continues all the way up and bottoms out at about January 2017 before increasing. So it does say for the duration of winter, or most of the duration of winter, will be in a weak La Nina state before rising toward neutral as we get toward the end of winter and getting into early spring, maybe even to a weak El Nino by the time we get to next summer. We'll see. Down the road, I have less confidence, of course, but this part here, I do have pretty good confidence that we keep going down. So Eastern PA Weather Authority projection right now is for the heart of winter to be about minus 0.8 or minus 0.9 as far as the ONI is concerned, and that is the your measure of your El Nino Southern Oscillation. So we'll just have to we'll incorporate that into our winter outlook and break that down exactly what that is. I don't want to get too much detail on that in this video because it's just too time consuming to do that. But I will put that in the winter outlook that is expected on November 4th to the public, or it's coming out to the forum on November 2nd. Privately, so we will have it out by Friday, November 4th at 7 p.m. For the general public, and you'll have all of our forecasts for this year and what we expect, including total snowfall for this year. Now, here's a look at the PDO up here in the Northern Pacific. This is the area I was just showing you up here in the Gulf of Alaska. Still very warm, anomalously warm. Again, if this maintains, and you have this warm pool up here, this warm blob, or they like to call it, you can have a negative EPO, and that leads to ridging in this area in the Gulf of Alaska and the West Coast, and leads to a trough in the eastern United States in the wintertime, which of course brings in colder and snowier conditions. So that's the idea here. We're watching for this area here. Here's the North Atlantic. Again, that area around Greenland is very warm. If that maintains, it'll have a favorable setup here for blocking as we go into winter, but this can change very quickly. So we don't want to kind of put our eggs in one basket here and saying, oh, wow, it looks great. Yeah, it looks great now. But it's also toward the end of October here. If this looks like this, say on December 23rd instead of October 23rd, I'd say, yeah, we're in for a good blocking season. Okay, but we still have a couple things to watch, make sure this maintains and it doesn't change. The other thing is snow cover. Excuse me. The other thing is snow cover. I actually made a long time without coughing. Snow cover we talked about last week and why this is important. Again, if you have, and you're paying attention to Eurasian snow cover at this point, that's the most important thing. So we're looking up to Siberia and the snow cover, how deep the snow cover is in that area, the snow depth. The theory behind that, this is Dr. Cohen. He has this theory that correlates the weakening of the polar vortex by that increased Siberian snow cover or Eurasian snow cover. Helps to weaken and displace the polar vortex. It's already going to be weaker this year than last year to begin with. We already know that. But it can be displaced easier, and if that does happen as we get into winter, it forces the jet stream further south with that weakened polar vortex, and the jet stream can dip down into the eastern United States to give us some colder outbreaks. That's a negative Arctic oscillation. And his research actually led to led us to show the correlation between a negative Arctic oscillation and increased snow cover at this time of year in autumn in Siberia. Well, here's what we're looking at Siberia right now. Tremendous amount of snow here. This is current. This is what's on the ground right now. This is not a projection. This is what's on the ground. So this is already well above normal. And you want to see that maintained through the fall months. Well, here's the next 10 days and what the snow depth, not the total accumulation will be, this total snow depth, that's total snow on the ground 10 days from now compared to now, which is what you're looking at. Here's 10 days right there. Look at that. Look at the western Russia really getting into the action here with some very deep snowpack here, and also this maintaining in Siberia. So this is going to help continue to weaken the polar vortex and allow it to displace easier. Also might affect the stratosphere somewhat. We don't get into too much detail with that too. That's in our private discussions, and also with our with our winter outlook coming out here in about a week and a half here. And then we also have the snow cover propagation in Western Canada. Again, this is not as important right now. Not as important right now as Siberian and Eurasian snow cover and propagation of such. But this is also going to need to be watched. You want to see an increase over time. And if this is October 22nd, this is 10 days from now, and you can see an increase. Not a huge increase, but it's definitely an increase nonetheless over the next 10 days. And of course, this is snow depth. This is not total snow fallen, so this accounts for melting as well. So we are seeing a progression toward a snowier pattern. Now, I do want to show one thing here, and I'm going to preface this image here. This is CFS V2. This is not to be taken literal here and verbatim for what it's showing here. This is total snowfall expected over the next 45 days, and it's run 4 different ensembles here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 4 different ensemble runs and forecasts. It's saying that in the next 45 days, that we between now and December 5th, essentially, because this is December 6th 0Z, so that's December 5th. Between now and December 5th, that everywhere on every single run except for this one right here, it's all showing snow, accumulating snow in our coverage area, at least portions of our coverage area. And this one you can even argue for northeastern Pennsylvania and back to north central PA for some accumulation as well. But they're all fitting the same idea. The reason I'm showing this is not to show you that we're definitely getting snow in that time frame. It's to give you the idea that once we get, this is supporting our analogs now, that once we get past the middle of November, second half at some point of November, we start flipping the pattern and getting into below normal temperatures for a persistent period starting in late November. Now, I think, last year we had such a warm, incredibly warm December. That is not happening this year. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to happen this year. We're not going to have we had 12 to 15 degrees above normal averaging in some places for the month of December as a whole last year. Much different story this year. Much different story. I think winter's going to start earlier this year, and not just because this says so, but because our analogs, our long-range climate models, are suggesting that flip some point toward the middle or second half of the month of November, and then we will start winter early. And I think it continues for the duration of winter, for the duration of calendar winter. So we'll examine that with the winter outlook coming out. But here's our analogs we used, and you'll notice no years are on here. Because we purposely took them off. That's something we discussed in the forum, and also the rankings of where we rank order each one of these analogs. These are all different analogs or years that we're using by location. So if you take one location here in Newark, one of the years that we chose as a matching analog had 37 inches of snow in Newark, 57 in another year, another winter, and then 19. And so you have a range here: 19, 28, 22, 78 in one year here. 61 here, 28.6 here. So you see, we have a bunch of different analogs where we have listed here. There's a bunch. And actually here, the last one here, these are actually averages of these locations. So, the average snowfall at Newark is 28.6. Average at Atlantic City is 16.5. That's in a season. Allentown, 32.9. Philadelphia, 22.4, and so on. So these 7 analogs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, those years, which are blacked out, of course, we don't have them here. Those are the 7 we are considering. We also rank order these in order of 1 to 7. That's also something we're discussing in the forum. So we've been discussing this in the forum. So we're going to keep updating this. We're going to come out, when we come out with the winter outlook on November 4th to the public, we will actually have all this information included. And not saying there'll be 7 at that point. Might be more than that, might be less. Just see how things transpire. we are in the process of narrowing some of these down and eliminating some and promoting some other ones. So we'll see how that works out. But November 4th is when the winter outlook comes out. If you're not part of My Pocket Meteorologist, whether it be the winter text alerts or the forum, maybe the forum's not your thing, like I was just discussing, you really couldn't care less, if what the analog years are or what that means. But if you are concerned about that and you do want to get into the weather discussion with the meteorologist and get the in-depth discussions and analysis, that is the weather forum. Please check that out You can click on the image below this. It looks like this, and we can hook you up with the premium forum. You can get involved in those discussions. We also have the winter-only text alerts now for 1 or 2 counties. If you commute, you'll want the 2 counties. If you're commuting across the county lines, you 1 county. If you're just staying put in or work within the same county. And then we can get those snow alerts and ice and everything you'll need for winter sent directly to your phone by one of our meteorologists. It's not automated. It's not sent by a computer. Sent from one of our meteorologists from a phone number to yours. And we will do that for $24.99 for 1 county, $34.99 for 2 counties for the entire winter. So again, click on this image below. And there are package deals if you combine this with this. If you do this as a standalone, it's $45. If you add it on with one of these other purchases, it's just $30 more instead of $45. So there's a lot of different options here for you. Maybe you don't have $24.99 to do for the winter alerts. You want to do month to month. You can do that too. $4.99 a month and do that instead. So just something to consider. Take a look at this, again, below the video, and we'll get into, this will take you to the My Pocket Meteorologist page where you can sign up and learn more about these services that we provide. This is now our 4th season of My Pocket Meteorologist, and this is the 4th season of My Pocket Meteorologist, and we are going to continue this every single year, and it has not changed. And I'm starting to get to the end of the video here, so I'm starting to ramble, so I better stop before I get ahead and start coughing again. Thanks for bearing with me in the video. It's been a long video here, but hopefully give you an idea of what we're expecting in this winter coming up here. And you see kind of direction we're going here, but we're going to get into more detail with the release of the winter outlook itself to the public November 4th, 7 p.m. That's a Friday. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Marters. That is this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, October 23rd, 2016. Have a great week.